Hello guys, welcome back to the crew calling all units. Top speed run number 8. The Bmw R1200GS adventure. That's what we're looking at here, or what we were looking at. I'm starting up the free drive challenge here now, as always, same route. Full stock, no nitro, 125 horsepower. That's what we are getting here. Acceleration is always decent on bike, but this is more like a raid bike, an off-road bike, and yeah. So it kinda dies out on speed. Will not get much more out of it than somewhere around 200, I guess, on the more flat sections. Uphill, not that much. It's a bike that means throttle plus leaning forward to get the most speed out of it. Because if you don't lean forward, then you will go slower. And that can be like 10-15 kilometers an hour slower. No nitro, so we sort of have to figure it out here. Get it to 15 there. .218 and they're nearly at the limiter, so with some slipstream completely at the limiter you might get a 220, 225 out of it, but not so much more. Going towards the flat section here, but these cars in traffic they also give a little bit of slipstream, although not that much as you would get from another player. But even traffic does give you some slipstream if you sort of drive towards it. You see the difference here. It was a pretty flat section towards that car and I was doing 205, and now I'm on a flat section with no car in front of me and I'm getting somewhere around 200. Here we go, traffic in front of us, and we go over 200 again, 206 even. But it kinda goes slow, although we are doing 200 kilometers an hour. Because of our mind and our eyes are set on speeds like 400 kilometers an hour, which we are doing with most of the performance in the circuit spec, so this looks to be a bit slow. And for once it finishes. Immediately after the finish we get the result. Surprise. 307.935. Yeah, it is what it is these times. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you do run after run you can do 1 or 2 seconds faster here or there. So it's not really a time attack, just gives us an idea so that you can compare it. For instance, with the videos I will post with the other bikes and such. That's for the full stock. Moving on to the street spec. Although this is an off-road bike, or it's more pointed towards off-road, it also has a street spec. 150 horsepower, which is 25 more than the full stock, and of course we have nitro now. And that makes it, before the April 2016 patch, bikes were kinda OP. But handling wise they have been messing around with it, so they are no longer the fastest things around. Which they probably had to do because bikes are exclusive for Wild Run and not everybody had Wild Run, and the bikes were smoking the cars in most of the specs. KTM 450 won also in PvP, won the street and the dirt and even the raid. In performance you had the Ninja and the BMW winning everything, and the same for circuit, so they had to come up with something. Because people who didn't have the Wildrun only had the bikes, only had the cars and not the bikes, yeah, they were disadvantaged. So they messed about with the handling of the bikes, and suddenly they are probably the worst thing to take out. But they are still fastest though. 375 here, almost on the limiter, so you might get a 380 out of it, and that is because, well, it is a bit of a heavy thing. 1200cc engine as well, while the KTM and the Kawasaki KX only have 450cc and they are lighter, so they go faster. KTM can do 382 under slipstream, and then it kinda limits. That always has been the best choice for speed traps and such. Might not be the case anymore, because from tests that I've done, the new Indian Chief Dark Horse in street spec and the new Ducati hyper-motored both can go faster. One can do 386, the other one can do 388 or even 389, I think. But we have to test that. There hasn't been a speed trap event for street specs yet, so but 375, that's 1 kilometer an hour more than we got out of the Abarth, which is the only other street spec that we have tested so far. But I'm pretty sure there will be even cars that can go faster than this BMW, because it's a bit heavy, like I said. 208.359, that's the time we got out of it, out of the street spec, which brings us to the dirt spec. And that has 225 horsepower. I guess you need more power in the dirt or in the off-road, because that's 75 more than the street spec and even 100 more than the full stock, which is kinda, well, pretty much for a bike. Bikes don't have hundreds or thousands of horsepower, so if you get an increase of 100. But there are more bits and buts about here. A few bars there in the front. It's all weight. It weighs more than the full stock and even than the street spec. It's made a bit more robuster for the off-road action. But you can also use it on the road, of course. But it won't be that fast. Or it should not. We're not gonna get 375 out of it, which was sort of what we got from the street spec, a little bit more even, seeing it wasn't on the limiter yet. And this guy is 323, which is about 5 kilometers an hour faster than the full stock. And that's mainly due to the weight, I guess. And also, of course, because of the balance. You're sort of trying to balance the dirt specs against each other and the street specs and so on. So it's also a bit logic. It has more weight with all the extra stuff on it. Yeah. And then this guy shows up here, which already might result in 1 or 2 seconds faster time, because wobbling about here trying to avoid his slipstream, because, well, that wouldn't be that fair, but yeah. Like you will see, he's not the best drivers. He is hitting vans and stuff here. 215.7, which is about 7 seconds faster than the street spec. But like I said, it's kinda normal. Although it has more power, it also has way more weight. You can see it, there are these bars all over the place, and they add extra weight. This is the first dirt spec that we test in this top speed run, so not really something to compare with at this moment. So 323 is what we got out of it. Then we come to the raid spec. That's even a bigger fuel tank and such, so that's even going to be more weight. And in general, the dirt specs are faster than raid specs, so the raid specs kinda limit in the faster ones, at least with some slipstream, they kinda limit around 300. And while some of the dirt specs can do 330, even 340, so acceleration is also slower in a raid spec than in the dirt spec. And it also has 144 horsepower, which is only about 20 horsepower more than the full stock, while the dirt spec had 100 horsepower more, so it's only just a bit more than the full stock, and it's way heavier, which will probably result in because it has nitro, it will result in a faster time at the end, but we'll see at the top speed. I kinda doubt that. 294, although we are not on the limiter. Because of the nitro, of course you get a more speed than in the full stock, but it is slower than the dirt spec. Dirt spec we got 323 out of it, 375 in street. So from the specs, the raid one is the slowest, which is all logic. Also here is the first one we test, so nothing to compare with at this moment. We've tested in the earliest videos, sort of doing it alphabetic, so we've done the Abarth, the Alfa Romeos, the Aston Martins. They don't have a raid spec. And the Bentley also didn't have one, so this is the first raid spec and dirt spec we test on the one on this bike. $245 to 43, something like that, if you do it on a flat section, which is also not that good, I guess. Resulting in a 234.9, which is also, compared to the dirt and the street, it is slower. It's about 30 seconds faster than the full stock though. That being said, 3 specs and a full stock, 4 different ones for the 1200. And that will be it for this video. See you guys in the next one, and bye for now.